Welcome to the Real Estate Espresso Podcast, your morning shot of what's new in the world of real estate investing. I'm your host, Victor Menashe. On today's show, we're taking a look at a question that a number of podcast guests and listeners ask about. That is, what does it take to be a guest on this show? On today's show, we're going to look at two aspects of podcast recording. What I'm going to talk about is equally applicable to a radio show or even video. We're talking about audio quality. I'm often approached by real estate investors to be a potential guest on this show. I would say that I average about 2 to 3 requests per day to be a guest on the show. Unfortunately, I have to reject the vast majority because I don't think they would be a good fit for you, the listener. Our listeners are sophisticated investors. Many of you are experienced apartment investors. Some of you own thousands of units. We have listeners who are investment bankers. We have lenders. We have those who are architects and engineers. Some of you work for some of the major commercial builders around the nation. You are not a rookie audience. We're not the We Buy Houses crowd who are out there sending thousands of mailers, hoping for a tiny percentage of distressed homeowners to close on a sale. In order to be a guest on the show, you have to deliver a message that's relevant to our listeners. That's a given. And next, you've got to be able to deliver your message in a succinct manner. And then third, you've got to deliver quality audio. Now, on today's show, we're going to take a deeper look at audio quality. I want you to hear the difference between a professionally recorded show versus one that's just been thrown together. When you're listening to a show that has high production values, you don't notice the audio quality. It's effortless to listen, even in a wide range of environments. One of the most difficult places to listen to a podcast is in the car. The background noise varies widely from second to second. You've got road noise, engine noise from your own vehicle. You've got traffic noise from everything going on around you. These noise conditions are constantly changing. 1 second, you can't hear the podcast clearly, and the next second, it might be too loud. So when we're producing a podcast, we aim for high audio quality and also for consistency. If you're straining to hear what's being said, you're going to lose interest and turn it off, or as a minimum, you'll turn it on but stop listening. We don't want either of those to happen. When I invite a guest to be on the show, they have 2 things that they have to be able to do. Number 1, they've got to be in a low echo environment. I require my guests to be in an environment where there's plenty of soft surfaces like carpeting and curtains. I'll do a demonstration of why that is so important. We're going to start with an ideal recording environment. This is what I would want the recording to sound like. In 3, 2, 1. Welcome to the Real Estate Espresso Podcast. So that was actually recorded in the walk-in closet in my house, surrounded by lots of clothing and surfaces that absorb sound. Next, we're going to go into a high echo environment with lots of hard tiled surfaces. Here we go. In 3, 2, 1. Welcome to the Real Estate Espresso Podcast, your morning shot of what's new in the world of real estate investing. In this example, the echo from the environment is nearly as loud as my voice. So you can see how important it is to be in a low echo environment. When I turn on a podcast and I hear a speaker in a high echo environment, I just cannot listen to it. I will turn it off. Now maybe I'm just fussy, but I think I'm not alone in that respect. Next, we're going to examine the difference between a couple of different microphones. I insist that guests have a high-quality recording mic, and guests don't always live up to that requirement. I have rejected some guests when they show up without the proper equipment if we cannot get acceptable audio quality. This is the recording mic that I use on a daily basis. But next, we're going to compare that with some of the cell phone earbuds that come with a standard cell phone. In 3, 2, 1. Welcome to the Real Estate Espresso Podcast, your morning shot of what's new in the world of real estate investing. Boy, you can really hear the difference in that. It is such a striking difference. The sound is so bad I just cannot listen to it. Next, we pay very close attention to the sound level. This is handled in post-production. We use a technique called dynamic compression, which takes the quiet portions and makes them louder, and then takes the loud portions and dials them back. This compensates for those moments when a guest moves closer or further away from the mic. We also filter out all of the lip smacks and pops that the mouth tends to make. They come through in the recording. We also reduce the gaps in speech. Sometimes a guest will think for a few seconds before answering a question. That's perfectly fine, but we'll cut out that dead air and reduce it to 0.5 of a second. Gaps longer than that are awkward. Shorter gaps feel rushed. And after all that is done, the result is a nice, clean, tight recording that you can listen to without having to struggle. We also edit out all of the ums and ahs and you knows and all of those verbal tics that are just really difficult to listen to. So that, my friends, is how we go about producing a high-quality audio product that's not a struggle to listen to. As you think about that, have an awesome rest of your day. Go make some great things happen. We'll talk to you again tomorrow.